Thank you. We have relations with, I think, well, close to 200 countries. The default position is we don't give them money. So those who suggest aid to Pakistan have got to show that there's a strong justification for doing so. The evidence is not encouraging. General Musharraf spoke on television in February about how Pakistan provided support for Lashkar Taiba, also known as LET, and to the JEM, and essentially said terrorism was fine as long as it's directed at India. His remarks didn't provoke much of a reaction because much of the power structure in Pakistan agrees with him. The Pakistani government, as our chairman just pointed out, continues to hold Dr. Afridi. So not only do they shelter bin Laden, they punish those who helped us unshelter bin Laden. And the military establishment in Pakistan stokes paranoia about India, meddles in Afghanistan, and seems to be trying to weaken Afghanistan so as to have a divided, pushed-on population. Regardless of how we answer the friend or foe question, our relationship with Pakistan is important. But keep in mind, you would think we would only provide aid to those countries where we don't have to ask the question, friend or foe. But Pakistan is a nation of 180 billion people with a history of terrorist activities, 100 nuclear weapons, a very confused body politic. The administration is requesting money for Pakistan in a number of different accounts, including $740 million of assistance on the civilian side, $265 million on the military side, and aid in other categories as well. You would think that we would at least condition a large portion of this aid on the release of Dr. Afridi and his family. Providing more assistance to a government that has supported terrorists and has shown itself not very capable or serious about combating terrorism may not be the very best use of taxpayer money. We should be looking to reorient the money we do spend. I'd like to focus on three things: human rights, education, and public diplomacy. First, the Pakistani government has a regrettable record of oppressing some of the major components of its country, large minorities, including the Sindh and the Baluch. Free speech and political dialogue are restricted. Extrajudicial killings are common. For example, Anwar Lagaria, the brother of a dear friend of mine, was assassinated in Sindh just last year, and the Pakistani government had closed the file. I want to thank our State Department for at least raising a question. They've reopened the file, but that doesn't mean they'll actually do anything. A country with blasphemy laws is just begging individuals to claim that minorities have said this or that, unprovable, and then impose terrible penalties on someone they happen to dislike. It's no surprise that extremism flourishes in this environment. Second, education. Pakistan must reform its education system. Many textbooks contain content that perpetuates minority stereotypes and feeds support for Islamic extremism. A lack of a government-funded schools has led to an increasingly number of extremist madrasas in Sindh and other places in Pakistan. Girls are often denied education. As I proposed, I think at our last hearing, if we do provide aid, we ought to provide free textbooks so that parents don't have that burden, aren't tempted to send their kids to a madrasa, and so that the textbooks, while they may not reflect all red, white, and blue values, will at least not contain material that would be an anathema to the American people. And finally, it's very hard for corrupt people to steal textbooks, especially in a country where the textbooks are made free by the American people. I co-chair the Sindhi caucus, and so I focused on southern Pakistan in particular. Have worked to make sure that we communicate to Sindh and other parts of Pakistan through Voice of America in the language people speak in their homes. The importance of Pakistan seems to be so overwhelming that we spend billions of dollars giving it to a government that supports terrorism, but we don't spend $1.5 million broadcasting in the Sindhi language. What a bizarre approach, what a pro-Islamabad approach, what an approach that does not match America's interests. Finally, if we're going to win over the Muslim world, we need to have the State Department maybe hire one or fewer people that are experts in the 1800s European diplomacy, and hire at least one person whose job description says understand the Quran, the Hadith. You don't have to write a fatwa, but you should have read 1,000 of them. To think that we are waging a war for the minds of Muslims around the world and haven't hired a single person because of their understanding of that religion and how it is used and how it is misused shows an insular thinking in a bureaucracy that prizes an understanding of the machinations of Metternich in European diplomacy 2 centuries ago. I yield back.
Thank you.